Chancellor Saunders White, thank you so much for that kind introduction, for that warm welcome. I also have to thank U.S. Attorney Thomas Walker for hosting me this morning at an extremely productive and fascinating meeting of the Coalition Against Human Trafficking, one of my priorities. But let me thank North Carolina Central University, the School of Law. Let me thank the City of Durham. Mr. Mayor, thank you. And all of the committed advocates, leaders, old friends that I see around this table, colleagues, partners all in the fight for justice. I am delighted to be home. So thank you very, very much for that welcome. Now, I want to let you know that I do think that you are correct. This is the time for this discussion. But this group in particular, I want to thank, again, for your welcome, but I also have to thank this group for your help during the confirmation process. It was a little lengthy, but that just gave us time to get prepared. That's all. That's all. We used the time wisely, right, Reverend? But I do want to let everyone in Durham know how much I appreciated the support, the thoughts, the efforts, and the prayers that went up on my behalf, because I felt it all, and it meant the world to me. During some of those days that seemed longer than most, it really was wonderful to know that I had the support of home. There's no place like that. So thank you again for all of that. So I do think it's fitting that we're here at North Carolina Central School of Law, because it is an institution that was founded based upon what I know is important and vital to everyone in this room, which is the goal that equality under the law is the right of every American. And it's also the responsibility of all of us to ensure that it's free and open for everyone. So I thank you again for having us here. I also think that it is important to have the conversation at this time, because these are in fact challenging times, as we all know. You have alluded to the recent events that have traumatized many of our houses of worship. There also have been events traumatizing many of our individuals of color. Also, of course, the events just a few weeks ago in Charleston highlight days that I think many of us thought were behind us. Right, Congressman? I mean, we thought we were done with a lot of this discussion, and we thought we had moved on, but we find that these issues still stalk us today. They still walk among us today. But what I want to tell you is that I actually want to paraphrase one of the people that I met with this morning, who was one of the wonderful detectives, Thomas, that you introduced me to in the human trafficking fight, and he was talking about justice. But what I will say is, for people who have said, you know, why are we seeing these events now? Why do we think we see a resurgence, be it in hate, be it in hate crimes, be it in activity? You know, I don't know the answer to that, and I do wish that I did. But while we cannot guarantee the absence of hate, we can guarantee the presence of justice. We can do that. And I am committed as Attorney General to making good on that guarantee. And I know that everyone in this room has spent most of their lives working towards living up to that guarantee. And I'm so happy to count you as partners in this fight, because it is a fight that will cover all types of issues, the traditional ones that we've seen, as well as the new threats that our newest citizens face, all the things that make this country great. Sometimes people are looking to push back on that. But I want you to know that the Department of Justice and this Attorney General is committed to working with you in this fight. With respect to the recent incidents that have occurred, obviously Charleston is one. We are looking at all of the facts and circumstances there and trying to determine essentially the best way to proceed, working with the very able prosecutors in South Carolina, just as committed to this cause. As I announced some weeks ago, we have opened a hate crimes investigation into that particular matter. And we are looking at that matter from all angles. Be it hate crime or domestic terrorism, we will go where the evidence takes us in consultation with our friends and our colleagues there. And I think many of us around this table know that with respect to some of the discussion that has been had also about the nature of this act, that hate crimes themselves are the original domestic terrorism. You know, I remember literally after 9/11 talking to civic groups about the trauma that the country faced with those recent terrorist attacks, and reminding them that many of our citizens had been subjected to similar ones in this past century, but they came from the night riders. They came from people wearing the hoods and the sheets. And those were the original domestic terrorism. And we saw that spread out across the globe, that same desire to frighten, to intimidate, to influence, and essentially to coerce people into submission, into giving up their rights, into giving up their liberty. And we didn't let it stop us then, and we will not let it stop us now. So all of these matters will get our full attention, including, as you have alluded to, these so recent tragic burnings of the predominantly black churches that have been happening really throughout the South and even the Midwest, and in our own state in Charlotte. We recently had an incident there. And we don't have the full details about those, but I want you to know that those also have our full attention and that this is a serious issue that we will be addressing with the appropriate care. And we will see where those matters lead us as well. Now, I also know that we've seen, again, the face of hate directed at other people as well. And we're still looking into matters that have occurred in North Carolina. I know that the recent deaths of Dia Barakat and Yusor Abu Salah and Razan Abu Salah are still fresh wounds here. I remember hearing of those and being saddened by the fact that young students in my home state would not be allowed to live out their full potential and contribute to our society, which was their goal. And I know that those were incredibly difficult events for the state and also for everyone who cares about justice. So I think with respect to a lot of things that the department is doing, I do want everyone to be aware that there are resources that we are bringing to bear. And one of the things that has, of course, troubled all of us has been this recent prevalence of directing violence at our houses of worship, whether they are burned or whether it is through bullets or whether it is simply through hate walking in the door. They are a target. This is not the first time. Many of us remember that this has occurred in the past, in part because of the traditional role, at least of the African American church and other houses of worship, in the fight for civil rights and equality. It has not been limited to churches. Mosques have also been targeted. Many of our other groups, the Sikh community in parts of the country have also had houses of worship targeted. And it is important to note that there are resources there. First and foremost, with our partners, the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA, they actually have community outreach on their website, and they have information for houses of worship to go to come up with a security plan. But what I would urge everyone to do is what this group is so good at doing, which is remain engaged, remain connected with your local law enforcement at the local level and at the federal level. For those of you working with houses of worship, I'm sure you already know your police chief, and I'm so happy that many of them are here with us today from Raleigh, from Durham, from Chapel Hill. But also get to know your local FBI director, the resident agent in charge there or the agent in charge there, and they will work with you and look at your building, look at your issues, and help you come up with plans to deal with these situations. Because, of course, the most important thing we can do is prevent harm from coming to our houses of worship. Now, of course, when we look at this, as I said before, we thought we were done with so much of this. And they are just reminders that there is still work left to do. But, as has often been noted, some of our greatest advances in civil rights and in human rights have come after our periods of the most heartbreaking loss we can imagine. When we look back on the path of civil rights and human rights in this country, it is sadly after some of our most difficult and challenging events. And I have to tell you, I think we are now at one of those moments. But as I look around this table, I see people who are ready to seize that moment and have that discussion and take this issue and take it on and make it real. Now, I think also that we have to look in terms of some of the things that are currently going on. I want to let you know that the Department of Justice is committed to keeping up this fight. One of the areas in which we are deeply invested, deeply involved, and will never back down from is in protecting every American's right to vote. Everyone. Everyone who is entitled to vote deserves to have that franchise protected. And that is why the department, under my predecessor Eric Holder, moved swiftly and moved strongly, even after the Shelby County decision, to continue to enforce the Voting Rights Act. And that will not stop. That will not recede. That will not regress. We will not back down on that. It has been across the country. Many of you are aware of the situation in North Carolina. We've talked about that, Brother Barber. And so we know that that fight is still going on there. We are also focusing on making sure that everyone can feel safe, not only in their houses of worship, but in their school, pushing back on some of the zero-tolerance policies that were well-meaning in terms of school safety and security, but have had the effect of really filling up what we have called the school-to-prison pipeline. And this is, of course, you all know, the collateral consequences of many of those actions and many of those policies that track predominantly minority children into a system of discipline and correction as opposed to rehabilitation and education. So we're committed along that fight as well. And of course, just last week, we were extremely happy that the Supreme Court reaffirmed in the housing case one of our most important tools, of course, the disparate impact tool, which has been so important and so vital as the desire to discriminate has moved behind the scenes, as people have become more visible. It's moved behind the scenes, it's moved behind policies. But with this tool, we can continue to enforce the right of every American to live where they want without discrimination. And that's something that we will never back down from as well. And so I give you my commitment there. And we're working in other areas as well. And I think we also have seen that in the area of hate crimes, and we will see where these recent cases take us, but we have now 5 years with the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crime Act. Very, very strong enforcement there, and that will not back down. We are also supporting those who suffer sex discrimination in the workplace. We're trying to address racial disparities in education, but all of this needs a partnership. It needs people on the ground who see these issues, who work on these issues, who develop these issues, and can bring them to our attention, whether it is to your local law enforcement, to your federal partners here in the U.S. Attorney's offices and the FBI, or to those of us at Main Justice. We are looking to work with all of you. And we, in fact, feel that this is the most important issue of the day, because without equality of opportunity, without equality under the law, we don't have the country that we want. We don't have the country that we've decided is important to us. We don't have the city. We don't have the community. We don't have the fellowship that we have decided is the essence of America. So without those things, we risk losing more than we really know. And that's why this fight is so important, and that's why it is so key and so central to the Department of Justice. But I know that I'm talking to people who are very familiar with this because I grew up here. And I know that this state, and I know that Durham is no stranger to this fight. You are no stranger to these causes. You have always worked on these issues. You have been working on these issues for political equality, economic equality, educational equality. I remember some of the school board fights that happened in this and other counties. I remember some of the fights that happened in higher education in this and other institutions throughout the state. And people have always been committed here because they've always seen that there is a greater good to be attained. You all have been working on these issues long before the cameras were here, and I know that you're going to be working on them long after the cameras leave because I've seen the work that you can do. So I look forward to continuing this fight, this dialogue, this message, this progress, this mission with all of you. And I am tremendously glad to count you as partners, as colleagues and friends, and I look forward to discussing the issues of the day with you. So thank you again for welcoming me to North Carolina Central University, the School of Law. Thank you for welcoming me back to Durham, and thank you for welcoming me back home.